Well, so we're ready to look at the newspapers. Good morning to the two of you.
Yeah, good morning, some of you.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
This one is by
This is Ajua Yeboah Clothing. Yeah.
Clothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should get up at some points.
What's the situation with the sleeves? It looks like you're about to take flight.
I love them. Look very
Yeah,
flary
for
the times, very African.
This is what is in vogue, actually.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So,
What are they called? These sleeves, what are they called?
Charlie.
They are just sleeves.
They're called Mbappe and Bema.
You know, in the Disney cartoons, you know, the wizards, they have sleeves like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In other words, I am.
Oh, how?
Well, what is it? Thank you to Ajua Yeboah Clothing.
Good job.
Check her out. She's on Instagram and on Facebook. Just Ajua Yeboah Clothing. And the fabric, of course, is woodin.
Le Créateur.
Yeah. If you don't believe me, just go to their shops. You find that they've got new designs, and you know you can rock it. What do you have doing this weekend? If you have a wedding, an engagement, or somewhere special, you might want to go into the Woodin shop and get something. Get some cats. Okay.
Woodin.
So let's do the newspapers.
All right, yeah, let's do that. Let's run through all the headlines real quick, starting with the Daily Guide. 2 envoys bid Nana farewell. Details in there. Mohammed Haider is one of them. Unibank directors sue Bank of Ghana. That news came out yesterday. NDC boycotts Electoral Commission meeting. What's that? Bagbin on rampage, and the banner headline: Mahama dashes to Rawlings for 2020 blessings. On the back page, AG petitions Interior Minister to investigate the Glow GFA deal, and other sports stories are here as well. Shall I do the Business and Financial Times while I have it? Banner headline: ruling on Bank of Ghana's suit will redefine business regulation. That's according to lawyer Adagewini. Adagewini. Thank you for that. Now, Fidelity Bank excites customers with Switch and Smile campaign. Is a promotional story on the front page. Also, domestic airfares to fall as Passion Air starts operations in August. 3 more domestic airlines are expected by December. I wonder if Baby Jet Airlines is in there. I can't wait for that. Also, rate and publish performance of banks. That's what Joe Jackson is urging the Bank of Ghana to do. Wow, I wonder what that would do to competition, but, well, that's his suggestion.
We can look at the front page of the Ghanaian Times. It says, Ghana ready to combat international crimes to make West Africa safe. That is according to the president. Mahama calls on Rawlings. There's a photograph of the 2 former presidents shaking hands there. Unibank suit against BOG. Right decision is according to a banking expert. On the back page, it says NADMO sends rescue team to areas affected by Bagri Dam spillage, and plants in progress to produce fertilizer locally is also being reported by the Ghanaian Times. The Daily Dispatch has its banner headline: a revocation of Unibank's license at Dufour Hughes Bank of Ghana, and celebrating Dr. K.A. Buzia era in Ghana's history. There's a photograph of Dr. Kofi Abrefa Buzia. And as JDM prepares to declare calls on Rawlings, also on the front page. The back page quickly, it says, has that story about JDM declaring, and Otiko would have preferred removal to a demotion. That is according to Ben Efson. So that is it in terms of the front and back page of the Daily Dispatch.
All right, let's continue quickly with what's on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. EC IPAC meets to discuss upcoming programs. Also, market confidence in UMB, Cal, Fidelity Banks high. Asantehene meets Ochehene at Chibi today. Government loses huge tax revenue. Big companies manipulating system. Comes with a picture of the senior minister Yao Osafomafo on the front page of the graphic. Back page, Burkina Faso spills Bagri Dam today. NADMO moves to mitigate effects on residents along Black and White Volta. Portions of Tema Motorway runabout to be closed on August 26th. So 2 stories on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Well, so let me look at the Business Finder. We have on the front page, Government to merge ADB and IB banks. Use oil money to diversify agriculture. Some Jonah. July PPI hits 8.4%. Then today newspaper is reporting that there's a new scandal that has hit the Metro Mass Transit Company. We also have Arocha Ghana launches Green Corporate Star Award, and today is holding their 5th lecture. That's a Today newspaper on mobile money prospects and challenges. Now that will be interesting. Yeah.
So we can look at the details now. I've
Sure.
gone through my front pages.
Oh, we've done the
Yes,
front page of the
yes.
Times.
Yes.
Okay.
All right then. So let's look into some of the stories, and this one is of interest.
So which paper is that?
This is the Daily Guide.
Okay.
And it says NDC boycotts EC meeting. The NDC, according to the newspaper, has on many occasions pledged to make life difficult for the new EC chair since Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies were dismissed over misconduct. And yesterday's IPAC meeting was the first of its kind since Jean Mensah and her 2 deputies took over the affairs of the EC. The meeting was to discuss plans to organize a limited voter registration exercise scheduled from the 16th until the 25th of December 2018 ahead of the December 27 referendum for the creation of new regions. Now, although the party claimed its late invitation to the meeting was the reason for the boycott, the statement by Asiedu Nketia seems to suggest that the meeting was hurriedly organized. This is what it says. The NDC, by the way, has vowed to reject any decision taken at the meeting since it was not properly invited. And this is what it says in the statement. If the meeting proceeds as scheduled, the NDC will not consider our good selves as having been properly invited to participate in it, and shall therefore not be bound by any decision taken therefrom. Wahala Dongas, right?
I heard Kofi Adams speak about the invite coming in a bit late.
Yeah, not him alone. The General Secretary, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, also initially said that before.
Director of Communications apologized for that happening, even though Mr. Adams still maintained that they don't think the EC acted in a right manner.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's the right way.
So they said
it's the right way they want to start.
So, for instance, the story
So
in the graphic says they got the invitation at 12:14, and the meeting was like 1.
Wow.
Yeah, meeting was
So,
1
but
p.m.
formally, the invitation was
12:14
was
p.m.
dated the 20th, but I think it got to the NDC office on the 22nd and in the afternoon.
Wow.
Just some minutes to the meeting. I mean, the formal invitation, but we're told that there was an earlier text message.
Yes, and Mr. Adams' argument was that the text often is a reminder and it comes after the letter had been received. But in this case, that
you know,
didn't happen.
sometimes, let's say in American football or sometimes basketball, you know, when they start the game, they want to give the opponent a certain sense of how difficult or strong the game will be. I think that maybe it's just a posture the NDC is just trying to show prior to their initial deliberations with the commission headed by the new EC and the 2 chair, the 2 deputies, so to speak. But that would be on the lighter side. But I think in all seriousness, the NDC seem to have given the political watchers what the animosity would be like as far as the relationship is with the new EC chair. But I don't know whether that's the right way to go. The concerns are still out there.
Let me ask you this. If you were the EC chair, knowing how the NDC is likely to not give you an easy time, what would you do?
I would have given them ample time. I would rather improve the relationship. I would reach to them further, because no matter what we think, in the Fourth Republic, after the MPP, which is in power now, they are the biggest opposition party. If there is an election tomorrow, if the dynamics should change, they are more likely to be elected into power, whatever. Well, it doesn't mean that we have to satisfy them, but then we need all the players within the political space to be coexisting, because we need that cohesion.
So that's with the assumption that Jean Mensah was going to personally distributes the invitation to the political parties?
You see, I wouldn't have gone as far as saying that.
Not necessarily.
I wouldn't have gone as far as saying that
the officers at the EC should also have that understanding. And just
I mean, when Charlotte Osei was there, I mean, she was not the one distributing.
I wouldn't have gone
She
as
didn't do
far.
all the things that happened. But
I wouldn't have gone as far as saying that she should reach out to them. She's the EC chair. I wouldn't expect her to show favoritism to anyone. But the one thing I would expect her to do is to get it right. Okay, because you know that you've come under a lot of...
you're not saying that she got it wrong.
Well, of course she did. If you send a text message
No,
and then the letter arrives later, yeah.
But let's
you've got
also
it wrong.
talk about
So
the
for me,
focus for that meeting. I think it's been crowded or
With this whole
clouded,
talk
if you like,
about
with the
boycotts.
fact that the NDC was not there. But the bigger agenda, I think, is what we should be focusing on, which is the referendum that the EC would organize for the creation of new regions.
yes.
You know, that was the
but-
conversation.
No, but you know we have to deal with this because
Yeah.
they said the meeting was urgent. It wasn't urgent. This has been with us. Political commentators had said we have an election coming at the district level. We also have a referendum that is expected to be organized. So we should be guided with the processes and the speed at which we're dealing with the past issues with the past
This
administration.
is the delivery of an invitation. If the Electoral Commission can't get that right, it's not a good sign.
Well,
Remember,
and so-
remember also that
and-
IPAC is not like a statutory kind of, this is, you know, me and you as, let's sit and discuss.
So
it's
there's
not
no
like
need
a
to get-
mandatory kind
so
of
there's no need to do
thing.
things
Decisions
properly?
that they take are not mandatory
So there's
anyway.
no need to do things properly?
No, that's not what we are saying. We're
Yeah.
just saying that this is one of the things that happened, but let's focus on the bigger picture.
Well, so the bigger picture is that we have a referendum coming up and all parties are supposed to come together and agree on how it's done. Otherwise, if we don't have that agreement, something that may not necessarily be a life and death situation can turn into a big emergency. So that's why you need to get it right from the very beginning. You know that these people are
The
looking
media
out
would make
for
it
an opportunity.
look bigger than it is, really.
No, I don't think it's an
Okay,
easier.
let's,
I don't think we're here because the NDC raised an issue.
Let's
I think we're here because the NDC raised an issue. The media could have chosen to ignore the NDC, but the media apparently and has no choice than to trumpet what the NDC is saying.
I'm not advocating that you ignore, but I'm just saying that whilst you say that, also talk about the bigger picture. The news is not just because the NDC didn't show up at the IPAC meeting because they received an invitation late, and we know that the EC has apologized,
I
whether they
agree.
followed due
So-
process or not.
So-
but let's also not forget what was talked about.
Okay,
at the
so,
meeting.
so, so, so,
That's
so,
all I'm saying.
so this is what they talked about. There's supposed to be a limited voter registration. So they'll open the books, people will update and all that. It will be exhibited. And then the next will be the district level elections. And then we're going to have the referendum. Because we know that the voting for MMDCs, etc., is supposed to be after 2020. So that's the bigger picture, right?
Okay,
Bigger.
are we done with that story? Because we've got other stories in the other newspapers to look at.
Sure. So according to the Business and Financial Times, ruling on Bank of Ghana's suit will redefine business regulation. Of course, there is a lot of anticipation of how this will go at the Supreme Court. And there are many who suggest that this is a first test of the Supreme Court under its new Chief Justice as to whether as to how far they will go in drawing those clear lines of how the Constitution actually ought to be interpreted. Because in this situation, these are people who are operating in a private space or running a very heavily regulated business activity, and the regulator has sought to shut them down as a result of, well, their failure to regulate them.
And there's a potential ripple effect in the event, depending on how it goes. You know, there are 6 other banks, actually 7, just one has taken a legal action. So in the event it goes in favor of Unibank, you can expect the others to take a cue from it and wants to pursue follow action.
I wonder how far back such a ruling will ripple, if you like.
I mean, obviously, it's at the High Court, so whatever decision may not necessarily be binding on another High Court directly. But the point really is that they have similar issues that they are raising. People feel that they were being treated, the Bank of Ghana was too tough on them. So if they look at the court being favorable to them, they are just...
Thanks for that correction. I actually thought it was the Supreme Court, but it's the High Court, isn't it? Yeah. So yes, let's see how that...
well, we can take a cue from what Asan Koman said yesterday at that forum. He said that in prosecuting, as they gather evidence, what do they call it, prima facie, or whatever it is that they call it, they needed to get it right. The prosecutor needs to get it right, or the Attorney General's Department needs to get it right, because you lose a case, then we have a ripple effect.
Yeah, in fact, he said that the nature of the crime, it's more of regulations. So how to know that someone is guilty for failing to do something, he says it's a bit difficult. So he wants them to go through it carefully. And he was talking about the US example that the special prosecutor sometimes lumps up 18, 20 charges, so that at least if you're able to get 8 of them, then the person is going to jail. Because if you rush it, then you may end up opening up, and people will now be breaking the regulations simply because they know that you can't nail
let's
them.
clarify. This is when it comes to the state prosecuting those they consider to have done wrong. In this matter, it is the private entity that is suing, the state. And when it comes to the prosecution, which people are very concerned about calling for and so forth, it's interesting. In a civil, if you're bringing a civil action against any director or shareholder of a bank, apparently you are supposed to demonstrate that this person willfully participated in the violation. So if you can't prove that individual's participation and that participation was willful, you have no leg to stand on. And then when you get to a criminal prosecution, then the burden of proof is even higher. Then you have to also prove intent. So, this is not going to be an easy ride. All those calling for prosecution, there is a reason why for 1 year nobody has taken the Ota bills or their Moabings or any of their
But listening to the finance minister yesterday, you get a sense that, this is something that government intends to do, because he called it thievery. Isankoma also made the same point. And he said
that may well be politics.
And he makes the point that, in fact, the prosecutions will happen, and that you may know people that they in government are close to, but they must understand that it's something that ought to be done.
That may well be politics, because in the end it's the Attorney General who do the prosecution. And the Finance Minister may look at it and say, oh, this is bad, this should not happen, this is thievery. But someone has to then come along and do the hard work of proving it. And as we've indicated, it's not easy. It's not easy to prove this. White-collar crime is just slippery like that. So let's see how well they do, whether or not perhaps they will take Domelovo's advice and start bringing in private consultants
to recover.
Okay, let's do, I think, about 3 stories quickly in the Daily Graphic newspaper. One is page 16, where the Ghana National Fire Service has warned Ghanaians that the priority on security rather than safety, especially with the use of burglar-proof systems in homes, needs to be reviewed. It said a thief would normally bargain for valuables, but fire, quote, will consume everything, including the humans occupying the buildings, unquote. In a statement issued in Accra yesterday, in the aftermath of last Sunday's fire disaster at Dansuman that claimed the lives of 5 people in a house, the Ghana National Fire Service said it was time the public sought professional advice in the use of burglar-proof systems in the construction of buildings. I think that sometime back there was an incident where the person in the room, if only she could have either found the keys to open the various padlocks, she could probably have helped herself.
What happens in most homes is that when they are done fixing it, they lock it up and they don't even remember where they dropped the keys. So even when the keys are available, sometimes it's very difficult to open it because it's not open more.
And in that moment, you're panicking. You don't know what's happening. So, except that they haven't told us that this was the cause of that fire.
The ultimate question is it actually against regulations to build a burglar-proof system with a lock? What kind of lock should it be? How easy should it be to open? In fact, there are laws around what a fire escape should be. Okay, and if it is locked, already you are violating the law. It should be easily accessible. A child of 2 should be able to access it and use it and leave the premises in an emergency. So if you have locked it, then have you already violated the code? And you see, that's the thing. If the law already exists, and in Ghana we have beautiful building regulations, I read them, I was impressed. So if we already have the regulations and they're being violated in every home across the nation, what is the point?
Even the lifts.
I think that in all the contexts also, or the narrative, we have to put all the issues being raised and the concerns being raised into context, because what type of homes would these regulations be enforceable on? Is it
They
the
should
shacks?
be enforceable in every home.
Is it the shacks?
Whether it's a shack, a kiosk, a container,
Well,
they should be enforceable
Kiosk
in every
with,
home.
with an emergency exit.
Yes, they ought to be. They ought to be. It's not impossible.
So the law is beautiful. I know in the UK, and he's
I think,
lived in the UK.
we should start with the public buildings.
Yeah,
We can start
the
at
thing
that
the thing is that in other jurisdictions, you're not necessarily in charge of your own land. The processes for you putting up their own structure, there is an intermediary, so they take care of all the necessary issues for you, because you can't do it alone, and you cannot do it because it's laborious. In our place, in our country, the structures are not enough or good enough, or don't meet the standard for you to say that, well, these regulations which say that these things should be in place.
But that's where the law is being broken.
Structure.
When you are setting up the structure, when you are converting your container into your home, whatever structure, even if it's a hut, once you are setting it up as your home, at that point, before you even move in, there's a process that ought to happen, which almost never happens.
Do they have kiosks?
So the farm service essentially
what I'm explaining is that it doesn't actually matter.
That you seek for
It doesn't
professional
matter what
advice.
structure you are living in.
And like I said, we're not sure if
Regulations
this
can
was
be enforced on
the cause of the
that fire,
deaths.
yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So you can read on, and I think it will be good for every person to read on page 16 in the graphic. Center spread, a book on Achim Abuakwa relaunched. The book titled Achim Abuakwa 1700 to 1943, from Ofori Penyi to Sir Oforiata. It captures in the center spread, more like you can see through the pictures how things unfolded at the book launch. President was there, the Ochihine was there as well, the writer of the book, and other dignitaries. And we know it's all because of the 75th anniversary. And Abuakwa is looking really colorful today. We will be there live sometime this morning. So
because they are Santa Hene do too for.
Okay, so it's the 75th anniversary of the death of Nanase Ofori-Atta the First. And the writer of this book, historian Professor Robert Adofenin, he wrote this book. All right, I think there was one more story. Quickly on the back page. Thousands of people living along the banks of the Black and White Volta will be affected when the Bagri Dam, currently nearing its maximum level of 235 meters, is spilled today. The dam was initially built to be spilled in the first week of September, but as of Tuesday, August 21, the water level in the dam had risen. And that rise represent about 80% of its watermark, and that's making it necessary for action to be taken before any unfortunate eventuality. All right, so this is something that happens. This is a ritual exercise. I've asked before, can we direct this water, to do something else for us instead of destroy people's farms and homes and things like that? And then we need NADMO and emergency services to be on standby to relocate people.
We've had that situation for years, and I agree with you that, going forward, they should find a more sustainable way of addressing it. You can't always be giving warnings.
Next year we'll be here saying the same thing. We're still on the show. Nothing will happen.
Yeah,
So
we know.
Is the spilling of a dam avoidable, or is it part of?
I think
the spill.
Where the water heads to, if it doesn't have it, so there are two.
it will
ways.
still best the banks in a way if it's not open.
Yeah, but the point is, are you allowing people to live there, or you are ensuring that when the water?
No, the thing is that
if
it affects people several kilometers away from the original source.
Yeah,
So
but
the question
that is
again,
exactly why
so
we should be looking at
Is
it.
so-
the
no,
spilling of the dam avoidable, or is it something that just comes with the fact that there is a dam there? So at some point, there will have to be a spilling process.
There'll be a spill at some
No,
point.
There's no avoiding it.
No,
So
I
really,
don't think so.
what you should do is you should make sure nobody builds in the
no,
area
no,
where your
no,
spill.
No, let's put all this into perspective.
Okay.
If you go to the areas that usually are affected, and let's say you're in an area, a helicopter or a plane, you get to find that those areas are low lying and they are several kilometers away from the river. And so you cannot say people should not build in towns, communities, etc. They get to affect large acreages of land. So it's not as if that people have built on the banks or on the waterways.
Can't we direct this water?
That is what I think should be able, we should be able to do.
Maybe
Somewhere
if we are
else.
willing to invest some millions to build some irrigation thing that can only be used only where there's a spillage.
I think they should involve the.
Do you get my
we
point?
should involve
It
students.
means that the
Our
investment will only be used once a
Our
year.
technical student, I'm sure there are students in schools learning
Okay,
some of these
USD
things.
students.
We should throw
they
it
learn
out
it
to
in
them.
the book. They can easily
this
do
is
it.
a challenge. What do you think we can do? Let them come up with some innovative
Or perhaps,
kind of something.
perhaps the thinking, rather than going into something that will be used just once, they should design something that avoids the spilling. So if there
Like
is
what,
some way of
increase the dam?
constantly redirecting the water so that it doesn't end up at the point where it has to be spilled.
something should happen. Well, quickly before, I just wanted to mention that yesterday Mr. Rollins and Mr. Mahama met.
Yeah. I saw the pictures and I don't know whether...
There was a statement that was issued. from the office of the former
alongside, yeah.
president.
I don't know whether I love the posture of Mr. Rollins though. He still had this smirk on the face as if I wanted to smile, didn't want to smile. But the Mahama made a lot of capital on it on Facebook.
Former
and the
President
rest of
Rawlings
social
once
media.
told me a story of what he does.
He did? You guys are friends?
He once told me a story of what he does when he meets people he doesn't like. When he shakes their hands, he quite literally crushes their bones.
I thought that was
So-
he said he didn't like, that they did it to the
So-
wife. So why would he do it to... Why would he do it to other people?
Well, there's a reason why that
You didn't
story,
ask him that?
there's a reason why that story came about. So I'm looking at this picture, trying to see whether anyone's bones are being crushed. I don't know. Can you
have
tell?
to ask,
Well,
you have to
Muhammad's
ask
hands
Mr.
are huge
Muhammad
too.
though.
I think Muhammad's hands too are
So
huge.
it's kind of
I don't know.
refueling. Is he coming out today? Is he notifying the party today that he's in the running?
I think what's...
Is it still a mystery? I think
No.
it's been confirmed. We
No,
know
yeah.
he's doing it, right?
Yeah, he
Really?
will. Yeah.
Kofi Adams
It's
gave...
all over from his people. I think these days information is no more hidden.
Kofi
You
Adams
get,
has almost confirmed it.
yeah, you get to have activations like pre-launch or something activation. You get to find these snippets of info from people you know are linked to.
But
the
can you
various groups
imagine this race without John Mahama?
Yeah,
You can?
we could have.
You
We
can?
could have imagined it.
I have heard
I'm quite used to seeing him as former president. I'm quite used to it. So actually,
So you're saying that if he didn't contest, it would have been cool.
yeah. So actually, when he becomes a contender, an aspirant,
Contestant.
that will actually be an image I'll have to get used to again.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm used to him being president.
Yeah.
I'm used to him now being a former president. Now I'm going to have to get used to him jostling for
Being the
position with
candidates.
others to become a candidate.
Candidate,
So
okay.
yeah.
All right.
The first time this republic will be experiencing that, a former president wanting to be
Coming
president.
in. I don't think it's a bad idea. It's all about not giving up and saying that this is what I
It's
want.
a big decision for the party.
Well, the
Because
party.
come
The,
2020, 2024.
you are saying that they won't win
No, I'm
2020.
saying if he wins, he can serve just one term. So what happens? to
They
the party
find they
after?
find somebody else.
What
And
happens to the
I
party
think that we are
after?
fixated in our mind that
2020, a lot of things.
the parties have been going for 2 terms in the Fourth Republic,
Yeah.
and mostly with the same candidates, with the exception of when Professor Mills died and John Mahama had to take over as vice president, etc.
Akable's point is that the party is aware that when you have a one-term president, it is the most difficult kind of president to, if you like, control. The party will have a lot less control over a one-term
Did
president.
they have more control when he was president?
Well,
Yes,
Okay, let's
well,
hear
he
other
wanted-
people have their
Look,
say.
One thing we all
WhatsApp
know is
and
that
via
the
text.
party is not going to be new to John Mahama. They know how he behaves. They know how he governs. They know how he directs issues and what.
So the last time he was president, he wanted to be re-elected. He had to work with the party for that to happen. Okay, this time around, if he's president, he has no desire to be re-elected. he has no need in the same way to work with the party. So it is a real
anticipated?
consideration.
More like
Okay, now let's share a bit of your messages as well, because you've also
like
been sending us
maybe
messages.
he's changed.
William from Takwa. William
saying
sends
he
a
will have no
message.
need. He may
I
still
will
work
read,
with
and if you guys can
but he will have no
respond.
need to.
Says, I want to know if Ken Oforiatta's data bank has met the new capital requirements.
It's
The
not,
last
it's
time I
not a
checked, it's
commercial
not a
bank.
Data bank is not a
commercial
commercial. It's not even a savings and loans company.
Thank you.
It's an
That's clear.
investment.
This one says, I want to advise Mahama to excuse himself from the NDC's presidential race and give others the chance. Visiting Papa J wouldn't save him, says Stone in Kumasi. This, okay, no. This Walanyo in Akwatia. Walanyo says elections will still hold come 2020. NDC can decide to boycott IPAC meetings, but their boycott will not suspend our electoral calendar. Former President JJ also by now knows the behavior of NDC leadership. They need him when they are in opposition, but giving him names if they are in government. Papa J must be cautious. Regards to Mr. N.S. Yaokomi, Akwetia constituency. All right, this one says, it's from Sule. Sule in Sunyai. Okay, says elections. No, I think I'm repeating a message. This one says, good morning, Consolidated. Please help me wish myself a happy birthday and say some inspirational words to me as I open another chapter of my life today. Thank you. Innocent from Sunyai.
Roland, go on then. Inspirational words.
All right, so I have some message, and this one is. I should give some.
Wait,
no,
Kojo,
inspiration.
please,
So-
you are the morning man, so go ahead and give him some.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
okay.
is
What's his name?
Innocent from Sunyai.
Innocent.
Yes.
Innocent. I want to propose a toast
Oh.
to your coffin. May your coffin be lined with the finest silk and made from the strongest wood from an oak tree 100 years old, which will be planted today.
Is
Happy
there an oak
birthday.
tree in Ghana? That's a hundred.
Oh,
Okay, let's look at.
thank you.
Oh, I know with all the trees.
Oh, you want Wawa? Okay, persons with disability turn up heat on Bagbin over offensive comments. Yeah, I wish we had had the chance to talk about this today. There's been a lot of reaction to this in the media. Okay, moving on.
Why talk
Bank
about
of-
it? It's not.
Yeah, let's finish the headlines and let's have a moment on it. Why Bank of Ghana is complicit in current banking crisis? Somehow I don't think that needs to be explained to any of us. VS Naipaul and Kofi Annan, death of opposites, and he died as well this week, did he? Okay, businessman notifies party about readiness to lead NDC to victory. Which businessman is this? He is not named. I guess we don't need to know. We are sorry. EC apologizes after late IPAC meeting invitation. Yeah, EC, you messed up. Also, Reading, is this Reading? Or Reading Spots holds reading conferences in rural communities. Okay, so there's a story in
traveling to
Ghana
England next
and not England. Okay, Reading Spots. Okay, then what else have we got? Mahama calls on Rawlings to discuss NDC issues, and the handshake seems cordial enough. What else do we have here? Asedun Keti accuses EC of incompetence after boycotting IPAC meeting. Right, also on myjoyonline.com, Ghana card will be proof of citizenship despite court action. Is that so? There we go. And
This is
Mama
the
B,
BBC.
international news?
Yeah.
BBC celebrities
Wine.
call for Uganda stars release.
Bobby Wine.
You know about this
Bobby
former
Wine?
musician exactly who's been arrested. He's actually appearing in a military court today.
And I'm told that he's been beaten to pulp.
Yeah.
According to the gentleman.
So
who is,
he used to manage Fela Kuti.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says he met Bobby at an event, and they become friends, if you like. He's getting celebrities all over to sign on to this, and he wants the whole world to know what's happening in Uganda with the arrest of Bobby Wine. So that's that story. Leading the page, South African sacked after viral racist rants. The village with male and female languages. Interesting. Taiwan's last ally in Africa stands by its. Malawi leader's niece charged with ridiculing him. interesting things happen on the continent. Okay, so that's it for the BBC Africa page. You can check out all the stories that we've reviewed to you this morning. But I've been reliably informed that the other political parties who were at the IPAC meeting also got their invitation via text. But
Yeah,
they
that
made it,
means
but they
that-
showed up.
that
And
mean-
Madam
that-
Jean Mensah, by the way, didn't chair the meeting because she's
Yeah.
out of town. So it was the Communications Directorate's.
But that means the EC really should do better.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that the NDC had no choice but to boycott. I think they could have chosen to go. But I think we all expect that they will hold the EC to the letter in
Yeah.
everything. And so it becomes the responsibility of the EC to make sure they don't get little things like this.
True. I want to say good morning to Mrs. Catherine Edubrenya of Safe Hands Clinic and Maternity Home in Takoradi. Mrs. Catherine Edubrenya of Safe Hands Clinic and Maternity Home in Takoradi. It is from me to you. Have a good day today. And to my friend Prince Charles. And then Vincent Chico from Mamprobi sent me a message. I just want to acknowledge this. We'll talk after the show.
But I want to ask
Hopefully.
you, the body that manages elections in Europe and the US, if they want to meet political party, do they do it by letters? I think that technology has taken over. So maybe at iPad they can now streamline to say, now we want to cancel things about letters or physical. And,
Yeah.
Well,
So you see, you're
soft-
right. I would like to see that. But what you do is you formalize it. You tell everyone.
when
I think
you-
you're talking about the formalization.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
should
yeah.
do better.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they should do better.
But I think that when
the
you
employers
also-
administrators who they are working at the party office will be receiving such news.
Yeah, but when you do that, you also have to follow up with a phone call.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
If
you
you
must
are-
make sure that
Elsewhere,
my
there's
phone
an
could
email,
be
there's an
off.
Elsewhere, there's
If
an
you,
email, there's an
no, if
email.
you set up a protocol that we're now going to do it by text, so when I text you, you must respond. If you don't respond, I know you haven't got it.
Okay.
Anyway,
All
oh, by the way, Bagbin under fire, a lot of fire, because he
I
says
think what he said.
a stammerer should not
We'll
be
come back.
communications
We'll come
minister.
back. We'll come back and then have
talk about it.
more
All right,
conversations.
right now
Yeah.
though, it's time for sports, and Benedict and the team have lots and lots of headlines coming your way right after this.